Hello guys, and good morning, and welcome to the market report. Glad to have you guys here. Today is Thursday, March 28th, 2019. And let's get started. Where's my charts here? Just give me a second. Okay, let's turn on the charts right here, and let's take a look at what's going on in the markets. Today, we have a look at Bitcoin going along sideways. It's staying at around $4,011 today at Bitstamp. And if we go back and take a look at the 15-minute and pull her back, we can see it's climbed up from this bear market action, and it's moved up now into a position of around just over $4,000. It's maintaining it really nice, you know. Let's take a look at cryptocurrency market capitalizations today. And what we see is most of the coins are up. We're seeing 142,748,000,000. Bitcoin dominance of 50.4%. And we're seeing the rise in price of a lot of these coins. EOS has done really well at $4.27. Litecoin was down ever so slightly today, but it's still $61.41. XRP is at 30.8 cents. It's off just ever so slightly, just like Litecoin is. But we're looking at Ethereum at 139.88. Bitcoin is doing well, and so is the cryptocurrencies. But now let's take a look at the let's take a look at silver. We're off to silver. Silver is not doing well today. Today is a sick day for silver. Let's take a look here. Bring the chart down to focus in a little bit. It's moving straight down. It's at 1501. It could actually break down into the $14 range, the upper $14 range today. You know, like I say, capital's moving around really fast within the system right now. And it seems like they're moving into U.S. Treasuries, and now today they're moving into the dollar. We're going to see on the charts, they're moving quite heavily. What they're doing is they're flying from what they consider safe haven asset to another. Safe haven assets, the Treasury is considered to be a safe haven asset, and now it's the dollar that they're heading into. They're scared, and they're searching for a home, a place to put their money. And it's not in gold right now, not just yet. It's coming, though. You guys got to wait for it. Let's take a look at the gold charts. We're down below $1,300. We're at $12.91 today. $17.90 move in gold. Not pretty. So now let's take a look at crude oil. Crude oil prices have dropped today. 98 cents, which is quite a big move down. 1.65%. $58.43 on the day. Now let's head over and take a look at the Dow. I'm going to refresh the page. We're looking at it's up 79 points on the day. So the Dow is actually doing okay today. The Dow's been doing really good lately. I'm expecting a reversal on a lot of asset classes. As we see the bond yields falling tremendously over a long period of time now, this bond bull market could do a quick adjustment. It could snap really fast, and especially the more pressure, the downward pressure on these bond yields, which is the bull market. It reminds me of right now. There's so much pressure on it. It's almost like Bitcoin was when Bitcoin was up at $20,000. There's a lot of pressure on Bitcoin to move down. And you've seen rapid moves downwards in price. Well, the bond market's the same way right now. There's a lot of pressure on it. Markets, when they tend to get a lot of pressure on them, they can snap back fast in the opposite direction. So let's take a look at U.S. Treasuries. Okay? What we're seeing today is we are seeing a little bit of a movement in the opposite direction from what we've been seeing. But I tend to think that it's going to continue with this movement toward a yield curve inversion that it has been doing. But this could snap back awful fast in the opposite direction, especially when the U.S. 30-year, if it gets down so that the U.S. 30 years even really close to the price of the short-term bond. That's what we got to watch out for, is that 30-year. That's the anchor. Picture if you had two sides in a tug of war. You know how a tug of war works. They always have an anchor guy. He's the big fat guy on the end of the rope, you know, who's got his ankles dug into the ground. Well, he might not be fat, but he might be. He's bigger and heavier than all the others. He's called the anchor, you know, and everybody else is pulling for all they're worth, you know, on both sides, and they have the anchor on the end of the rope, you know, in a tug of war. And it's a fun game, tug of war, by the way, you know. But it's a very aggressive pulling, you know, on both sides of the rope. Anyway, the anchor is everything. So on this Treasury thing, that 30-year right now is the anchor. That's the anchor. And everybody else is pulling on this line. Except, but the 30-year is the anchor, and it's still anchored at 2.82%, which is even higher than the shortest one on the shortest end of the yield curve. Is not as high as that anchor. And if that short end can pull that anchor out of its roots, then the whole situation is going to be complexly different. You know what I mean? And so we're waiting to see. So anyway, let's take a look at the U.S. dollar index today. 97.24. See? They've swung into the dollar. They're frightened right now, investors. They're running from one thing to another. And they've swung to the dollar today. The dollar's going strong. Look at it. 97.24. Wow. It's really up. Now, Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank, you know, they're at rock bottom right now. They've been at rock bottom before. On December 27th of 2018, around Christmas time, they were at rock bottom. They were at 6.75 euro, which is even lower than now. But today they're at 7.26. So they really haven't went much of anywhere since Christmas till now. And they're down 3.31% on the day. Deutsche Bank is very much struggling to survive. The situation is desperate right now. This is why they're trying to link up with Commerce Bank. The whole situation's desperate right now, and they're trying to keep Deutsche Bank in there, in the game, you know, and not have this Lehman moment. In fact, it'd be bigger than Lehman if she tips over and goes. Deutsche Bank is a mess, really. But linking these two banks together is not the answer, because that's just going to create a bigger failure when they finally go down. It's all linked into the debt cycle. And the amount of debt and leverage that's in the system right now is greater than has ever been in the history ever. You know, I was listening to Lynette Zhang last night. You know, and she is a smart cookie. She can see that the Federal Reserve, you know, has limited amount of tools left. They've used up almost all of their tools to fight in the next recession. They have used up, they've been trying to raise interest rates, and they've been trying to pull liquidity from the system so that they'll have some tools when the next recession comes, but they really didn't get where they needed to get. They didn't get what they needed to get done, and now they've relinquished that. They've quit, you know, and the thing is they only got one tool left, really, in their kit bag. There's one tool left. And they're going to be forced into using it. And that's money creation in the form of helicopter money. What's called helicopter money. That's the last thing they got. They don't have anything else left. They're going to have to use helicopter money, and they're going to have to use the tools they used before to the best of their ability. So they'll use lowering interest rates to the best of their ability, and they'll use also quantitative easing again. Look for more quantitative easing to the best of their ability. But this time, that's not going to stop the crisis this time. So what they need to do is they need to go into the helicopter money this time. They're going to have to add more to their repertoire of tools that they're going to use. And believe me, they will use these tools rather than see everything fall to pieces. Now, you know, there's a bit of trouble in Turkey with the lira. You know, we have to remember what happened in Turkey. Let's go back a little bit to 2016 here. There was a coup attempt in Turkey, you know. It was attempted against state institutions, including the government, and the attempt was carried out by a faction within the Turkish armed forces that organized themselves as the Peace at Home Council. They attempted to seize control of several key places. Well, the final result of all of this is 40,000 people were detained, including 10,000 soldiers. 2,745 judges, 1,500 educational staff were suspended and licenses were revoked. 21,000 teachers, more than 77,000 people were arrested. 160,000 fired from their jobs. I mean, we're talking big numbers here, folks. You know, and anyway, you know, this whole thing just blew out of control. It was controlled, though, in the end. It was controlled by Erdogan, you know, and imagine, 77,000 people arrested. It said arrested. So Erdogan, he controlled this whole situation and brought it under control. So when he talks, people listen. I mean, they listen. So now Erdogan's talking again here. And he says, now, what was happening is the lira was losing ground against the dollar really big time. Really big time. Last week, I guess. And it says Turkish lira gained against the dollar on Monday, partially erasing the losses of last week after President Erdogan warned banks. He said, listen, you guys. He said, you will pay a heavy price for buying foreign currency, he said to them. He told them. And I mean, he means business. And so what happened? Immediately, things turned around, you know. I think some of them might have wet themselves, to tell you the truth, when he told them that they were going to be, they were going to pay a heavy price. And he says, we know who you are. And he says, you're going to pay a heavy price for this. And when he did, I have to laugh. I'm laughing because the amount of power that man has in Turkey, you better watch out, he tells you. It says Erdogan issued this warning to national banks at a rally in Istanbul. He is campaigning on behalf of his Justice and Development Party for nationwide local elections to be held on March 31st. So this Justice and Development Party, and tight control. The banks have everything's changed direction, and now the Turkish lira is looking a little bit better again. But this could become a crisis in Turkey, and that's why I'm keeping my eye on it right now, because the lira has been having a lot of trouble over the last year or two, off and on. Off and on it has trouble, you know. Anyway, listen, thank you guys for listening to this report, and we will catch you guys on the very next report coming up. Bye-bye, guys.